Welcome to. Hey, John, I didn't see you sitting
What's
there.
up?
I expected to be here by myself.
Yeah.
No, I think this episode I've already got a name for it. Was it episode 7?
It's episode 7, MixCoach Insider.
This will be
7.
the guy walking around behind us, talking on the phone, pacing behind our shot episode. So,
and you were saying you were going to give somebody something if they could tell you how many times, first person to tell you how many times he walks by. I don't know what we'd give him.
I don't know what we could give him, but just a high five.
Cash money.
So starting now, how many times does he go by? There's one.
Yep.
Anyway, so let's get started on this episode.
Awesome. Well, first of all, we were talking about some tips and tricks. You had a tip to give people that would. So you're never surprised by a mastering engineer or by a radio station playing something that you mix.
Right. I was doing some podcasts for a friend of mine last week, and they were 1-minute spots that were going to be played on drive time here in Tennessee.
Cool.
And I was on my mind that these are going to be compressed by radio. So I took a few precautions to make sure that it sounded as good on the radio as it did when it left my studio, and I'll tell you about that in a second. It's not a complicated trick, but it's a trick that really works. And I think I was telling you about it, and you said that you've used it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
And so, announcement-wise, you posted the Gordon Mote interview.
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome, and he mentioned some headphones. Talk about the Gordon Mote interview a little bit.
Well, Gordon's a friend of mine. He's also a really, really, really busy session player here in Murfreesboro. I mean, not in Murfreesboro, in Tennessee. He's played on everybody's record. Everybody from Rascal Flatts to Lee Greenwood, just about anything you could hear on country radio, Gordon has been on it. But anyway, I just wanted to sit down and interview him because we've got a new subscriber, and actually I did this interview for him, Brian Howerton. We'll mention him in a minute. But I sat down with Gordon, and we started just talking about, just general dude stuff that you talk about when you share a common interest. So he ended up telling me about these headphones. There's been a lot of talk on the forum about headphones and room treatments and stuff like that, and there's some stuff in the interview that I think you'll be really surprised with, along with a set of headphones that I probably am going to have to buy eventually, because we talked about they're called Grado. Have you ever heard of them?
I had not.
I hadn't either, but
I've heard numerous people say Gordon Mote's headphones are awesome. So yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, they're called Grados, and they're about $700 or something like that. And I know that sounds expensive for headphones, but I think it's less expensive than treating a room. And really, if you're not trained and you don't know your stuff about treating your own mixing environment, then treating your room is kind of a crapshoot. I mean, because you don't really know. Which reminds me, I've got another interview coming up here pretty soon with a legit studio designer. He's designed a lot of the big, nice commercial studios here in Nashville, and
Great.
I've got an interview coming up with him pretty soon that I think you'll like.
Awesome. Other announcements: we've got some new forum software, and it's a lot better. It's awesome. You can it's a lot more user friendly.
Well,
you can hover over stuff, and it'll tell you stuff. So tell us a little bit about the new software.
It does a lot of cool stuff, but there was a little hiccup last weekend when I was trying to upgrade it, and I was trying to upgrade the forum software so that it would be faster, because we're always working on speeding up the website.
Yeah.
Which I thank you guys for being patient with me. And by the way, please, if you have any trouble logging in, or if you think the site is slow, be sure and let me know, because I really want this to be a good experience, for everybody, myself included, to get on and speed things up. So I have been really, really, really busy this week. It's kind of why I haven't been on the forums a whole lot chatting, because I've really been working on speeding up the site and installing new forum software, the forum software, I upgraded, then downgraded, and upgraded again, trying to get it all to work. But the forum software is pretty cool. The chat function, not the chat function, but the private messaging is a lot cooler. It's easier to read. I've had people mention that. It's just more user friendly. Yeah. Because you can hover over certain, the arrows. When you in a forum talk, it'll tell you what the last post was. Just little things like that make it a little bit more cool to use. But it's a work in progress, so it should be speeding up and becoming, even more user friendly as we go.
Talk a little bit about the tags plugin. You can tag people in like comments on the tell us what that's all about.
Yeah,
there.
well, that coincided with the form software, which is why we had trouble with it. Now, tags, all you do, and if you notice when people want to mention somebody in a forum post or anything, they put at and then they put their name. Well, this new feature we've got on MixCoach is when you put at and you start typing someone's name, then their name drops down and you can select who you're talking about. So,
cool.
And then they get a notification on when they're logged in, and they get a notification through their email that they've been tagged. So it's just a better way for, because I know sometimes when like I've been out of town and I have internet access, I just wonder if anybody's talking, wanting to talk to me about something, and I just don't know it unless I go and look and see if somebody's mentioned my name. This will eliminate that. The only caveat is the new forum software, it doesn't work within the forum. That's the only place it doesn't work. It works like if you were to go under Gordon Mote's video and you were to put at JON, then your name would pop up.
Okay.
John Christopher's name would pop up, or Tunes as he's called. And also when you see somebody tagged on there, you can actually click on their name and their whole profile will pop up, so you can see their bio and some of their website and stuff like that. So it's really important too, if you want to use the site, which I hope you will, to keep gaining knowledge, work, connections, and things like that. That you update your profile. Put your Gravatar, which you did a video for us on the Gravatar, and then. So get a picture. And that was something I was going to mention, was not only in the tags, Nick, not only down there in the comments section underneath posts, but in the forums as well. Like if you click on someone's name and things like that, their profile will just pop up. Yeah. So make sure that, like, if you're giving people advice, and if you're asking for advice and that sort of thing, make sure you've got your profile up there. Make sure people know who they're talking to. Give them a face with the name, or a picture with the name at the very least. And what you can do is get that set up. You can maybe link back to some audio examples of past mixes that you've done with us or wherever. You can do all sorts of things with it. And so just make sure that your bio and your basically your profile is all set up on MixCoach. Keep your profile updated. You'll be glad you did. Yeah. Okay, well, we're moving on to forum topics. You were mentioning some awesome forum topics that people were talking about. And I pulled out a couple of them. The Daniel Beatty. Yes. Yeah, he's posted this a song that he wants to collaborate with everybody on, which I think is a great idea. Yeah. And somebody was asking me the other day, is it okay to upload your own song to this website? And I'd say as long as we're not going to get in trouble, or you're not going to get in trouble, just email me and or put them up there. Put your songs up there. But that's kind of what I want this to be, is a place where maybe you can mix my song and I can mix your song, or you guys, and just see how other people would treat other people's songs. It's kind of the best way to see how other people work. Some of the cool things, like I've had conversations with people in around town and things like that, and they know that I mix a certain way, that sort of thing, and I know they mix a certain way. It's like if a jazz person talks to like a rock mixer, that sort of thing, they're like, I want this song to be a little bit more just jamming, just rocking, and that sort of thing. They'll say, hey, would you mix this one song for me? So that sort of thing can go really well on the forums, I feel like. Yeah. Where it's like, hey, you mixed this song and it was really jamming. I have a song that would be perfect for that. I don't do that as well as you, but here, can you try to see what you can do on it? Yeah, and one of the things I wasn't expecting when I started MixCoach was that I didn't expect to learn as much as I have from other guys. I mean, you guys are putting YouTube videos that I never would have found on my own. It's just, I don't know. So anyway, yes, it's fine to put your songs up and let other people mix them. Yeah, absolutely. Eric Chansey was talking about Wishlist for Mixbus. Oh yeah, I thought that was interesting. That Mixbus is a pretty there's a lot of users on MixCoach that are using that, and Eric put up a Wishlist form, and it filled up pretty quick. There's a lot of people wanting some stuff. So Ben's on the forum, Ben Loftus of Harrison Console, so I'm sure he's paying attention too. So, absolutely. And then Joseph Clydesdale was wondering about control surfaces. Yeah, Joseph is, I think he joined last month, and he was wanting to know about orchestral mixing, and now he's wanting to know about control surfaces. So I kind of chimed in last night and told him, kind of what I use, or not what I use, but what I've seen other people use in the price ranges. So you guys jump on there and help Joseph out, figure out which control surface he needs.
Absolutely. Now we come to the new members. So since the last video, we've had 6 new members, and they're awesome. You mentioned Brian Howerton before.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to talk anything about anybody on the list or anything?
I mean, let's just mention everybody and make sure that maybe you guys can go by and say hello to them. And if you guys, the guys we're about to mention, including Brian, I don't think I've seen you on there. There's a form on there that says stop and say hello.
Yeah.
Be sure and chime in there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And I think Tunes mentioned, why don't we mention in that post what instruments we play?
Hey, that's cool.
That's a great idea.
I like that idea. That's great. And so Brian Howerton, high five to you. Brian Moore, Troy Gray, Susan. Susan, how do you spell it? How do you say her last name? I've been trying. Nogs.
I think that's close enough.
Okay.
Yeah, Susan is actually an MTSU student.
Awesome.
And she's interning with us over the summer, so you'll see her on the forum. She's a very bright girl, and she knows her stuff, and she's going to help us make everything cooler. So
man.
Say hello to Susan. Hey, Susan.
Hi, Susan. And Everett Dogner and Henry Allen.
Yeah. Glad to have you guys on board.
Virtual high fives.
Put it there.
That's it. And so that wraps up pretty much everything. But you were going to talk about the tips and tricks.
Oh, yeah.
So let's make sure we wrap that back around.
So I'm doing these podcasts, and it's very spoken word oriented, but there's a music bed under the whole thing.
Right.
The music bed has a lot of high energy stuff, like hi-hats and cymbals and stuff like that. And so I was sitting here wondering, okay, if this is going to radio, how much are they going to compress it? And when they compress it, how much is it going to change the balance of vocal to music? So what I did was I took a limiter with the L2007 Massey limiter, just a good solid limiter. You could do it with the L2, you could do it with in limiter mode on any of the Digi-Design stuff, you could do it on the mix bus stuff, but just put it in limit mode and basically abuse it.
Yeah.
Just make sure that you compress it beyond any recognition hardly, because the radio station's probably going to compress it about half of that.
Yeah.
So just make sure that your balance doesn't change when you put a limiter on it. What I noticed on mine was that there were not the music versus the vocal, but some of the elements of the music started popping out, like hi-hats and cymbals. And one of my loops had a lot of high energy in it, so I ended up with the compressor or the limiter really stomping on it. I adjusted everything, made sure that the vocal was still riding on top and nothing was pumping too bad.
Yeah.
And then I took it off.
Yeah.
And I had rebalanced it, and I got a report back from him saying that the next day that he went to the radio station and they played it, and they were saying that it was great. They loved it. Great. So it's good that we did that. But that's a good trick for you. That's something I do on a mix too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I've done that before. It's just at the tail end of a mix, just especially if you don't know who's mastering it, or like if they're sending it off to a master and you don't, this is the first experience with them, or if it's going to radio, like you said, it's, they add another compressor on that, and it's just you throw a compressor on it, make sure it sounds good that way, do a little tweaking, and then take it off, and it usually sounds great.
Usually you don't have to do anything more than just a couple dB, which is a scary thing, but it's a good. I mean, it's when you put a limiter on there and you find that you pull something down 1 dB and it makes a huge difference there, and you can't even tell it when you take the limiter off. So it kind of lets you know that you were headed in the right direction, because I've noticed that when you get toward the end of a mix, then your adjustments become less and less and smaller and smaller. So that's a good way to hack the system, hack your ears. I mean, get a good set of headphones and limit the hockey out of it, whatever that word means. I was going to say hawk, but just limit it a lot, and then listening to it on several sets of headphones, and you probably won't be surprised at what anyone will do, a mastering engineer or a radio station. So use that if you can, and if you got any tricks like that, be sure and comment below.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll see you guys next time. Again, this was MixCoach Insider.